All right, Jay, we got you here. This is a different room. It's a little more laid back, as you can tell.
Yeah, I like
We
it.
can play music. We can
It's
just hang
nice.
out, have some fun.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a little different. 'Cause you do it
It's
on
nice.
YouTube, they strike your ass down. You play a song, they just strike your ass down to the
Oh, yeah,
ground.
good point. Good point. You don't have to worry about that here.
Right. All right, we got the Top Shot Shark in there. Wilder's happy to see you. If
What
you
up?
if you're in the chat, invite a friend because they don't know that Jay's in here, and Jay is must see television. So
Oh, Flunky's here. Invite your buddies in VIP. Have them come on down.
yeah, invite some buddies because Jay's about to give a little chat because Jay is in the VIP.
Yeah,
Jay is my contact who's in the VIP. He's in the
they don't
NLL,
like
the
me. Yeah,
VIP.
they don't like
Um,
me anywhere.
no, are you getting blocked and kicked out and muted?
There's one child who blocked me a while ago. I think he's got issues, but yeah, I don't know. I think nobody likes a contrarian. Nobody
Hmm.
likes somebody that speaks their mind and doesn't go with the herd mentality. So it's just part and parcel of who we are, Simon.
But it almost feels like it's kind of harder. It's becoming harder and harder for people to toe the company line when articles like this come out.
Shit, man. Some of us tried to make it cool to not toe the company line a long, long, long time ago, and we got shit on it. We got shit on for it by so many people.
But you can
I
also, but
remember.
you can understand why though, Jay. It's like it's kind of like pissing down your leg to spite yourself when
Yeah,
you.
but no, I mean, I think some people who were vocally critical back in mid to late 2021, maybe saw some of the writing on the wall, and rather than join a herd mentality to try to toe the company line and pump our own bags, saw the inherent systemic issues that were going to continue to pose a problem and hurt those who actually wanted to be a part of this thing long term. That was the first time I heard the term FUD. Never knew what FUD was. And not shockingly, a lot of the same people who were crying FUD for people who were somewhat critical back in 2021 are now, well, most of them have either left the platform completely, or have completely done a 180 and are some of the most negative vocal critics of the platform and everything it does. So it just goes to show you, like, groupthink is bad. It's always been bad. It'll always be bad. If you see something, say something. If you know something is wrong, then stand up as early as and vocally as possible to try to actually make a difference. Because if you wait too long, stories about horrible leadership and yachts and extravagant spending come out, and then former employees hit the Twitter and hit the glass door and write all kinds of wonderful reviews, and shit just spirals, man. Shit just spirals, and it spirals, and this shit has spiraled. And it's not shocking. I think everybody kind of saw it coming if they were paying attention.
How many different employees posted Twitter replies today? And I have a count of 3. Did you have more than that?
I honestly haven't been on Twitter. I've been in meetings all day, story of my life, but I've been checking out the Discord and seeing people copy. I guess 2 or 3 is what I've seen.
Yeah, that's what I've seen.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing I wanted to ask you though is, as you see in this article, and this is something that's worth thinking about, is that how many of these people that were given these stories of Roham being like a power hungry maniac, how many of these people are current workers, and how many of these people are previous ex-workers who may have had, a bad relationship with him? Now they're gone, and now they're just loving the opportunity to give a quote for some eager reporter who wants to
Oh yeah,
dunk
no
on
doubt.
Dapper Labs.
No doubt. I mean, obviously, I don't know who spoke. I mean, obviously, it's probably clear a few people that spoke just based on kind of responses to the article. But my contrarian opinion, as always, is former quote unquote employees are never usually thrilled with their former employer. So I do think this was a bit of a hit piece, to be totally
Yeah.
honest with you. I've been a part of startups. I don't know if you've been a part of startups. They're often extremely chaotic. This is a young CEO in a very young space, creating something from scratch. He was obviously extremely successful before he even started Dapper, and certainly created the first mainstream NFT product and platform that basically led to the entire explosion of the space. It created what we now know as Web3 in a lot of ways. So not only does he deserve a lot of credit for it, but I'm sure a lot of that, you can't help but have it go to your head, and you
Right.
think that everything you do is right, and you've done this, you know how to do this, you actually built it from scratch.
Right.
And it takes a certain type of employee to work in that culture. It takes a certain type of person to be able to operate within a extremely fast moving space, and it ain't for everybody. So I'm not saying that they're lying. I'm sure they're not. I'm sure we've seen the chaotic decision making and the constant flip flopping that Dapper has done over the last 2 years. So it's no shock from the outside to hear that it's extremely chaotic on the inside. To me personally, I'm more interested in the chaotic decision making that has led to the downfall of the product and people's quote unquote investments, more so than how maybe some overly sensitive employees took the chaos, maybe internalized it and made it more about themselves than about the work. Because obviously the shit is not and has not been running on all cylinders. There seems to have been and continues to be failure at a number of levels. And yeah, at some point the buck stops with leadership. Everybody accepts that. But you hire people to do a certain job. And I think objectively looking at the performance of the product and decision making and communications and product innovation and customer support and community management and all of the facets that go into building a business, I think objectively looking from the outside, there's been flaws and failures at every level. So yeah, while it certainly ladders up to the top, and I'm sure a chaotic culture can certainly lead to some of that stuff, at some point, like, somebody's got to accept personal responsibility, right? Right? Like, you're hired to do a job, you do the job, and if the job doesn't work out well, then it's going to create even more chaos within an already chaotic environment. So I don't know. Long story short, I think it was a hit piece. I think there's obviously a lot of validity in it, but I'm much more interested in a story that talks about failures in decision making and how that has impacted the customer base more so than cultural failures and how it impacted employees. That's just my personal preference.
So you said a lot there. First of all, like you bring up a good point, which is, imagine if you had created basically the genesis of this massive, insane bull run. It was your creation. And you would feel like God. You would feel like you can do no wrong. Basically, you can do whatever you want. If you want to go rent out a mansion, who's going to tell you not to? Like, you birthed what just became, like, I don't even know how much money and transactions NFT have done, but hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, right? So
Bored Ape doesn't happen without Top Shot.
100%.
Right? Like, none of it
100%.
happens without Top Shot. And like, that doesn't excuse anything, right? Like, ever since then, it's been a downward spiral. It's all down, right? Like, since we all came in February 2021 with like very, very few blips, like, it's been straight down. Like, there's no denying that. And that's failure at every conceivable level. But yeah, I mean, he created the blueprint. So that's a fact.
Right. So Plunge doesn't agree. He thinks, Plunge, you think that Bored Ape happens without Top Shot? Because how do we get the mass of, that's because he likes to argue, but how do we get the mass adoption without Top Shot? I mean, I guess you can just assume that something else could have got the mass adoption, but it's hard to rewrite history. Like,
not a chance.
Right.
And not only not a chance, but like, it was literally Top Shot influencers who put Bored Ape on. It was Girl Dad and TSF and those guys who were in the NFT space in part because of their involvement in Top Shot. They put it on.
Mm-hmm. And Jay, what do you make of the movement of other employees recently? Namely Dave from All Day. So he seemingly took a voluntary step down. Do you think that's because, now that this article has come out, do you think that this has anything to do with it? Or do you think there's something else? Do you think that gives this article validity? That shows that?
I think they're two different things. I think he's worked for the company for almost 2 years, and the company has gone straight down. Like, who cares about a silly hit piece article? And again, like, I'm not questioning the validity of the contents of the article. I just think we're making a very big deal about an article about company culture when it's company decision making that has caused the problems.
But
And he's been a
that
part
means
of
you're
that.
assuming that someone like Dave cares about what's going on in the market, right? Like the market cap.
No,
That
I think somebody like, no, forget market cap. It's not
okay?
about that. It's about customer trust deficit. It's about losing 98% of your customers who literally came and left the platform. I mean, the product is not performing well. So yeah, I'm
Okay.
sure it was a dream job. I mean, at some point it was my dream job to like lead strategy for Top Shot, right? Like when I first fell in love with it and I saw all these amazing opportunities with the brand, I was like, shit, like I'm a marketer, like I would love to be a part of this and help build it. So like it makes all the sense in the world. But when poor decision making and poor performance over time creates a murky future, the dream is gone. Like it's not sustainable. Like it you have to question whether this product can survive long term or short term, right? Like there's lots of systemic problems with the product. Our customer base has shrunk exponentially. Like the customers are gone. Everybody who's in Web3 knows about this product. Most of them have touched this product. They all left. They're not coming back. So objectively, if you're working for a company like this at the leadership level or whatnot, but especially at the leadership level, like your career matters to you, like your future matters to you. And do
Right.
you stay on board a sinking ship, or do you jump ship and go to something more palatable that you can actually see your future in? I don't think it has anything to do with a hit piece. Like hit pieces happen all the time. I don't see the connection, honestly.
Fair. And what about, let's see, what else can we discuss here? Like we're supposed to have an AMA on Friday. We have a Top Shot MGLE rare pack happening. I mean, like, how do you take all these things? First of all, do you think the AMA is going to happen? That's one question. Do you think it's going to happen now, or do you think there's going to be a polite reason why it's not going to happen?
I don't see why not. I don't think anything has materially changed. I think an article came out. I think layoffs happened. I think there was a noteworthy departure at the top of one of the brands, NFL All Day, which theoretically has nothing to do with NBA Top Shot, although
He
same
was
team.
running.
Although
He was
same team.
helping.
We haven't
Well, I know
we haven't
same
heard same
team.
team in a while.
Same team was definitely fun. Was definitely a funny
That
meme.
was fun. That was a fun one. I wish that never went away. Why can't we ever keep these fun ones? No, I don't
Same
think
team
so. I
was a
think
good one.
yeah, that was a good one. I think it'll still happen. I think, he loves these opportunities, right? Like he always kind of comes up for air whenever there's craziness and chaos happening, and that's where he shines. He's a great orator. He comes in there and everybody doubts it leading up to it, and they're all like, can't wait to hear what bullshit he says this time. And then he says whatever he says, and he waves his magic wand, and a certain percentage of those people walk away in a much better place than they were before. Maybe it has a dwindling effect over time, but you can't deny the guy's ability to move a room and to shape a narrative. But yeah, I think he needs to come out and talk. He's needed to come out and talk more frequently for a long time now. I think a lot of us who have back channeled with him in the past, like we've always encouraged it. Like, dude, every time you come out and talk, the market moves positively.
Yep.
You create a sense of comfort. We've lost a lot of that because unfortunately, a lot of the things that he has said publicly haven't come to fruition. Nobody knows why. I think this article perhaps shares a glimpse into maybe one of the reasons why. I don't think it'll be canceled. I think he was in VIP several weeks ago and said, I'm going to come back and talk to you guys again shortly after All Star. So it's shortly after All Star.
Yeah. What are you hoping like happens next? And it seemed like also you're calling this a hit piece, which I think that there is some validity there because of like what we alluded to earlier. This is a sensational piece. I'm sure that where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm sure there is an element of, Roham is a big personality. I'm sure he has been a bit of a prick. I mean, that's just kind of the way some CEOs are. A lot of successful people are pricks. I mean, like
Yeah.
not to say I
In
know
my
for a fact
experience,
that
that's for sure.
right. So like a lot of these power hungry, successful people have a large ego. No matter how many gifts we reply, when they get egg on their face. But like, what are you hoping for next? Like, are you hoping as someone who is so heavily invested in Top Shot, who often is shouting at the clouds and saying, God damn it, do something different. Are you hoping that something drastically different happens now? Are you hoping that this kind of shakes the foundation? What are you hoping happens?
I mean, I guess I've become way more realistic over time, and any grandiose thoughts and ambitions have maybe been tempered over time. Um, yeah, I just I don't know. I've said for a while. I think the brand would do well under new leadership, new ownership. I think Flow and Dapper have to be separate. First of all, I think it's a massive conflict of interest to begin with. You can't sell the thing and make the market and own the marketplace and make the rules and decide what pumps when. Like, just it's a clusterfuck. It's a total conflict of interest, and I've always thought that. So performance aside, I've felt for a long time that the two need to be separated. And Roham's master plan anyway is to build and scale Flow. Like, he wants to be the dominant blockchain, and he's created the first ever mainstream proof of concept, and it worked. So if I were him, that's where I would focus my attention. I wouldn't focus it on continuing to brand build. I don't see the value in it for him. Now, of course, with this pending lawsuit and all that other stuff, how easy is it to flip a company? I don't know. So yeah, I think ultimately that would be, as a collector, as an investor. I know they don't consider me an investor, but I consider myself an investor based on kind of buying into the product. I think it would be ideal at some point for that to happen. I don't see it happening in the short term. I think he still feels like he could build a brand, and that he's got great ideas, and that he just needs the right people to execute. And who knows, maybe he's right on that note. But ultimately, like, I would love to see the two separate out. I would love to see a new vision, new leadership, new management, new team, reimagine the product, reimagine the culture of the product. And I don't mean the culture of the company, but I mean like what role the product plays in basketball culture. I don't think they've ever hit that. I don't think basketball culture views Top Shot as integral to it, or even as part of it. I don't. Like, when I think about basketball and the fashion and the music and the vibe, like, I don't see any of that in Top Shot. Like, I think there's a massive disconnect. And I think if Top Shot was cool in basketball culture, that Top Shot would be more successful as a product. But I don't think they're there, and I don't see this regime getting it there because I don't think they're part of basketball culture. So I think I don't expect anything miraculous at some upcoming AMA. I just think it's going to be more of the same, and they're going to continue down a certain path. I think what they're doing with the MGLE pack, it's obviously just a small thing, but I think it's a great thing. For the first time,
TSS finally means something. Imagine that.
Yeah. You tell people for a very long time to do something, and they do it. And now there's actually a reason to do it. So that's cool, to encourage people to want to collect and to see value in collecting, as opposed to just using it as, an opportunity to try to flip for a few bucks here and there, which is largely what the platform has become for a whole variety of reasons. I don't foresee anything magical happening this week or next month. But I do hope at some point in the future that there's a disassociation and kind of a reimagination of the brand. I think it needs it.
So I want to see if we can answer a VIP question, because I don't personally know the answers to these things. But Eddie's in the chat. Eddie's also a large investor in this platform in that same sort of way that you are, and he's asking about any comments on the VIP's response. The VIP room tends to organize around the Fox. What are your thoughts on him? Is this like a controversial subject? This means nothing to me. Can you educate us?
Nothing to me as well.
Okay.
I don't know what to say about that. He's a clown. No, I don't
know who this person is, so I don't know.
There's a guy named Lakers. He's the clown. Fox seems like a smart dude. I only half pay attention to what most people say, but no, I think Fox seems like a decent dude. There is a clown. Lakers. That guy Lakers is a clown.
So we also have a couple people who want to chat. So I'm gonna let in Plunge, because he's never chatted. I know Weisberg also wants to chat. Maybe we'll bring him on in a little bit. But let's just bring in Plunge. Let's see what he has to say. Let's get some more voices in on this. Like, is this a nothing burger, as they say? Is there something more to this? Are we hoping that
nothing?
are we hoping that Roham, for, like, it sounds like you want someone to purchase Dapper, and potentially put someone else in the lead. But what say you, Plunge? Nice merch over there.
Back when I cared about all this stuff. I just wanted to come and say hi, guys. No, I have not been paying nearly as much attention as everybody else, but I didn't see this article until I jumped in the show, and I need to read it now. So for anybody that joined since you guys started, like, what's the 5 bullet point? Like, this is the synopsis of the article.
Private jets, yachts, expensive parties, expensive celebrities, culture of chaos.
And also Slack chew outs on Slack, chewing out employees on Slack, followed by certain ex-employees creating GIF replies on Twitter immediately after the publication of the article.
That's awesome. I love that. Dude, I love some good drama.
Exactly. Me too.
This is great. This is good for the community. I think if I've learned nothing else about Web3 in the 2 years that I've been around, is that memes are the cultural currency. And if there's nothing happening, then it's not cool. And it's an attention economy. It's a what have you done for me lately economy. So this is fantastic. I'm gonna have to read the article now.
All right, so you're spinning this into a super positive, in a positive way. I like it. I like that we're getting something.
The block clearly has a Dapper investment of some sort, because no press is bad press. Like, you've got this billionaire founder.
Did you see?
That's cool.
A couple months ago, maybe a month, I can't keep track of time. The Jalen and Jacoby Twitter account posted something real nasty toward Top Shot, and the theory was likewise, man, the social media manager for Jalen and Jacoby must be a Top Shot collector.
Oh yeah, I remember when they called him out.
Very possible.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of funny. Like, I sometimes have to check myself. We live and breathe this stuff. We, like, whether it's Top Shot or Web3 or NFTs or whatever, right? Like, we're in the shit. We're like on a Wednesday afternoon at 3:00 in the afternoon talking about it in front of 30 people. Like, that is a very small subset of, like, the people that care in general. So I have to sort of check myself with all of this, but it's really interesting to see sort of like this dynamic play out where, like, over the 2 years that I've been around, like, financial incentive drives all, period, full stop. It is. And there is very little that people do if there is not a financial incentive for them. Platform brand loyalty doesn't exist. Blur is a good example of this. Like, where are you going to make an edge? Where is the dollar? And because the money printer go burr has stopped, like, everybody's pissed. And they will always be pissed unless money printer go burr in short bursts again. So I don't know. I have tons of mixed feelings about it, but it's interesting. So tell me about the MGLE shit. I haven't been. You're talking about Top Shot score. I'm literally not plugged in. So, like, inform me. What should I be aware of?
I mean, good for you. That's probably a good thing for your mental health, just in general. But so, yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny timing because this shit hits the fan, and then, like, at the same time, there's an email to say the MGLE drop is happening this week, and depending on your Top Shot or so-called drop score, so like your Top Shot score, now they call it your drop score. If it's high enough, you get money back. You get cash back for buying. Is it your second pack, Jay, or is it on your first pack too? But you get money back. So if you have a massive Top Shot score, like people who have a million Top Shot score, for example, they get $25 back on a $69 purchase.
Yeah,
so
Jay, like I don't know.
Jay probably has over a million Top Shot score. So effectively, that turns his pack price to $45 instead of $60, instead of $70.
It's less. I think, I don't know. I saw it briefly. So, like, they're tiering it. So as you would expect, the better customer you are, the more discount you get, which makes sense. That's kind of how the world has typically worked outside of this space.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're doing it for the first time. I don't think they've ever done it before. So it's good.
I love it.
It's a smart move.
I love
it. Incentivizes loyalty, which is the goal.
I'm going to have to figure out what to do with my 397 Top Shot points. Yeah,
there you go.
No, 397,000. My bad.
Okay.
That's a lot more than 397. So I think I'm looking at the thing now. So if you have a 200,000 plus total drop score, I can get 2 packs and 15 credit back per pack. So that's like what, $55 a pack times 2, so $110.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad. Nice little.
It's not bad. It's not bad until you look at what rares are selling for. Like I don't know what the rare floor is, but I think it's like $25. So I mean, if you can hit, you should be doing okay. Nothing crazy. Yeah. This is not the old days, but
yeah. I have a question for you guys. So it's more of a thought process here. So the fact that we have been plugged in for over 2 years now, and like seen very, very detailed under the hood, this is what's happening. It's all playing out like in the public sphere. Yeah. Do you think that matters in Web3 or like in general? Because the corollary to this, and I know that they are not trading cards, but like maybe they should be. Do we know anything about like what Panini America is doing? Like, does anybody fucking care?
No.
Like, why do we care so deeply about like the inner workings and the like organizational performance or ineptitude, whichever way you fall on it? Why do we care so deeply about the minutia there versus
take a stab at this.
any other consumer brand that we participate in? I'm so curious what your take is.
I have an opinion too, but go ahead, Jay.
I'm gonna go first because this is your show.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't think this is a trading card thing, right? Like, I don't think most people are involved in Top Shot to collect trading cards. I think the original pitch, forget about the financial thing. Yeah, you're right, Plunge. Like, everybody's involved because they wanted to make a buck. That's why anybody's involved in anything. But once you kind of move beyond that, this is supposed to be a Web3 product, right? And Web3 has certain principles and a certain ethos that it lives by, that it adheres to. The whole point of Web3 is this sense of democratization and equal participation and transparency on the blockchain. Like that's the entire reason for this entire technology to exist. So I think, I would assume, based on the people that I know who are part of this platform, most of whom have left, but a couple of whom are still here, like people came here specifically because they wanted this new type of experience that's powered by this new type of technology that puts them more at the center of it all. I don't think anybody's here to collect trading cards. I think the corollary is just an incorrect one. I'm not here. I never joined this because I stopped collecting trading cards when I was 8 because I grew up and like I'm an adult and like I don't want to collect trading cards. But this Web3 thing is
like
fascinating.
You're still collecting trading cards, and then you're mad at the company that's putting them in foil wrappers, and you're mad at companies that they're making wax packs. Like it's the same dynamics, and I agree with you generally. Like that the thought process of like, oh, this new technology is revolutionary, like brought people to the space. Yeah. I would say unequivocally that is what the marketing pitch is.
Yeah.
I would also say that marketing pitch is absolutely irrelevant if Money Printer don't go burr. And Plunge. It doesn't matter. Like it was this space entirely driven and like by financial speculation. And that's where the vast majority of people, like 99%, right, came in because of that, like number go up. And it's convenient to then be able to say, and decentralized ownership and my participation matters. And maybe that's part of the reason why Money Printer went burr, is that like that was such a powerful resonant message. I don't know if that's the right word, resonating message, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And it's easy to then convince other people that it's cool too. And then Money Printer go burr indefinitely.
So you're right and you're wrong.
I wonder
actually.
Okay.
Hold on. Let Plunge finish his comment, then you go, Jay.
No. Please, Jace.
Yeah.
Right, go,
so
Jay.
you're right and you're wrong. I think you're right in that the supposedly hundreds of thousands of people who at some point were part of Top Shot and have since left, the vast majority of them were clearly here because they wanted to make a buck. Clearly.
Yep.
The people who are still on Top Shot, by and large, are already either down or they never invested, so they don't have that same kind of anger towards the platform. But they're involved in these micro communities, right? The team captain-led communities, the 9 Lives Lounge, which you're obviously very intimately familiar with, community. Even this,
I haven't been in there in a while, but I was there when it started.
You have a history with them. Even the VIP community, like the platform has actually lived up to a certain level of the promise of Web3 in that they are actually empowering collectors who are these team captains to set the course for how their communities operate and the experiences that community members have. So in a weird way, they actually have kind of leaned into the Web3 experience and promise a little bit, not nearly enough. I think they're the least Web3 company, if that makes sense, because they are still solely motivated by the profit motive. But in a way, like actually the only reason that it is still sustaining is because there are tiny elements of Web3 that are now baked into the product experience, I would argue.
Okay. I think that's a fair point. I think that's a fair point. A counterpoint. The product has gone like this since that is the core demographic. Like
100%.
When it was ripping and people,
the product has gone like this since March
I mean
2021.
Like pricing. Right. Pricing in general.
That's 2 years.
Right.
It's been doing that for 2 years, well before they leaned into team communities and Web3 ethos. It's been doing that for 2 years based on horrible decision making and so many other things.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be curious. There is going to be Harvard Business Review is going to have like Dapper Labs and Top Shot as case study, like curricula moving forward forever, right? Yeah. Like there is going to be so much that's done to sort of digest and pick apart everything that happened. And I've talked about this at length with various other folks, just generally who have thoughts about, Web3 NFT space in general. Like they did one thing exceptionally well, and that is onboard people, because they made it really easy to buy and really difficult to get your money out at the time, which certainly perpetuated the flywheel. But I think it gave, I'll say in hindsight though, the concept of digital ownership with a real life corollary, it mattered that there was a real life corollary to it, i.e. cards or, collectibles in general, because I don't think the technology is that interesting if you don't have the one-to-one, right? Like there's such a strong talk. I can see and understand. I collected Pokemon cards, or I collected baseball cards. I collected something. Like I'm familiar with that dynamic. And the things that make the online version of that or some iteration of that better is that it's quick. I can sell it immediately. There's liquidity to it. I can participate in my own way. I can collect my own way. Like all those other things. But at the end of the day, all of that is cool. But like, unless number go up, most people aren't hanging around. And that's true not just for Top Shot, but that's true for like NFTs in general. It's wild that like, let's say Blur, for example, right now, something like 300 wallets could like account for over 50% of all of the trading volume in NFTs. Like we're talking about 4 or 5 figures worth of people in the world that care about NFTs on any given day. And the fact that there are still 4 figures of people trading NBA Top Shot day in and day out is actually a testament to the fact that it's got some staying power. Like
100%.
There's actually a lot of people on the platform relative to other things in the space. So anyway.
I like that. I like these counterpoints.
Just a little bit.
I like the counterpoints.
Tandy,
though,
just real quick. You go, Tandy, after just real quick.
Go ahead.
The space is so small, Plunge, right? Like there's so few people who are actually involved in this thing. If you look at the totality of the world, though, people pay money and get involved in things for more reasons than number go up, right? People invest in experiences. People do invest in community. People invest in status symbols. People invest in clout. Like people want to be a part of a whole multitude of things. It just so happens that the direction that Top Shot went was solely around transactions and solely around price and solely around being able to buy something and flip it to cater to that early adopter degen crowd. And a lot of NFT projects so far have tried to cater to that degen crowd. What I would argue is that's also not sustainable because there's so few of those people in the world compared to most people who are not interested in day trading NFTs. As Web3 as a platform continues to grow and evolve and scale, more people are going to want to come in and partake in some of those core promises of what Web3 is all about. And I think that will perhaps help this platform, shift. I don't think the intent for Roham and team was ever to create a platform where, LeBron James and Ja Morant Top Shot moments were going to sell for 6 figures. That was not the intent. That was a perfect storm that happened to them. They did not create that. They did not mean for that to happen. They had no idea that was going to happen. And of course, when it happened, they leaned into it and they took advantage as much as possible. But that was not the intent. They always saw this as being Chuck E. Cheese. They wanted millions of people investing a little bit of money, just like they go to basketball games with their family for 30 or 40 bucks a pop. That was the intent of this, and that's what they wanted this to become. And had they kind of stayed the course on that, had they never had that explosion in Feb 21, a lot of wrongs never would have happened. A lot of
sure.
A lot of losses never would have happened.
Well, it's like that episode of Silicon Valley. Don't you remember that episode of Silicon Valley when the company grew too fast and then they were just like in terrible shape after that? I mean, it's too hard to keep
pre-revenue.
Yeah, it's just too difficult to keep those VCs satisfied after showing such incredible results in the beginning. And obviously, Roham is like a master at communicating that this kind of thing is still possible.
But I think back to what I want to circle back to something that I said though, and that I wanted to get your take on specifically. Like, do you think we are entitled to knowing everything that's going on under the hood? And this article notwithstanding, like,
yeah. So this, I remember when you mentioned this.
Spend.
Yeah. So Plunge, I remember when you mentioned this, and I wanted to say something, but that was like 20 minutes ago. But yeah, I think it's like one of those scenarios where, like you get into a relationship and someone, let's say like, you start dating a girl and she starts cooking you this incredible cuisine, and then you marry her and all of a sudden the cuisine drops off completely. You're never going to forget that cuisine. So it's always like, well, what have you done for me? And that's what you expect. Like you set it in the beginning. So whether or not it's digital cards, whether or not it's trading Panini trading cards, and they have like and they have, let's say, a Twitter Spaces every once a month, and you get to hear from the CEO. Whatever they give you is what you will then expect. And I think that because NBA Top Shot has given us so much access from like day one of when they started blowing up, we basically expect that forever. And once they start to slow things down or adjust based on strategy, and okay, we're not going to give you we're not going to piecemeal you anymore because we think that's bad for us. Even those decisions come up and the community gets all upset about it, but it's all based on what you were given in the beginning, I'd say.
I disagree a little bit. And here's why I disagree. I don't think they ever gave transparency. I think they always promised transparency. They always said, it's coming. We'll tell you soon. We're figuring this out. So they continue to kind of dangle the carrot in front of people to set an expectation that was never actually adhered to. Comms has been an issue with these guys from jump, right? Like we all agree they have screwed up so much and built so much animosity and created such hostility because of their inability to tell the truth and to adhere to the things that they've said time and time again. So because comms have been such a problem, people have been asking for more and more access, more and more insight, more and more kind of peeking under the hood that at one point they've said they will give, and then at the same time they never have given. So I think it's their inability to level set expectations and to create this symbiotic relationship where what they say can be trusted, and therefore people can use what they hear from them to guide their decisions accordingly. They've never adhered to that, and therefore people have continued to demand more and more transparency because they don't trust a motherfucking word they say. That's the problem.
Sure. And I would say that you're dead on. Like, nor should they, right? Like, nobody should trust at this point any more than, or as far as you can throw, right? I guess the point is the wrong way of phrasing it, but like the idea that you're entitled to it or you should get it is a very novel concept. And even like, I think we see it, and that demand exists across this space in general. Like, people want to know from the other NFT projects or like a trading protocol or some DeFi project. They want to hear from the founders. I don't think it's a unique to Top Shot thing. Like, I think it's like commonplace in the space to have that sort of like demand for some level of insight or like acknowledgement at least, which is such a diversion from like what we're typically afforded in any of our other consumer relationships. Because frankly, like, I own Coca-Cola stock. I don't expect them to tell me anything about their marketing budget. Like, even I own a piece of that company, and I don't expect to know the details. It's publicly traded.
Nobody asked them their market, but that's exactly the point. Nobody said, "Hey, what's your marketing budget coming up?" They offered up They said, they bragged,
Right.
they were so proud.
Fair.
They pounded their chest, they smoked cigars. And they said, our marketing budget is XYZ. We're going to blow it out of the water. Just wait to see what we're doing. No, Cam, we're not going to buy land. We're not going to do kiosks, Tandy. We've got all these amazing things. Just wait and see. So, like, when you lead people, to expect something and then nothing happens, you're going to get way more questions than if you were just clear and coherent and honest from jump.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Bobby Digital brings up a good point, like quarterly investor meetings, absolutely. And there are like board of director meetings and all those things. But I think the contrast that I'm trying to draw is that like no one's in the Coca-Cola Discord like yelling at the social media manager about like when the commercial for the Super Bowl wasn't funny enough. Like maybe they are on Twitter, but it's just like it's a different dynamic because of the community aspect and like communal ownership process and like dynamics, but it's fascinating regardless.
That's also why Coca-Cola isn't running Top Shot. Like you can't take advantage of the technology and what it supposedly affords to people without being held to a higher standard. You can't have it both ways. That's the thing. I remember way back in the day when influencer marketing became a thing, brands wanted to work with influencers, but they didn't want the influencers to disclose the relationship with the brands or to acknowledge that it was a paid ad.
So it's like, it felt organic.
Right. You can't have it both ways. You can't see a new technology and lean into it and try to capitalize on the supposed benefits of being involved in that technology without adhering to a higher standard. Like you have to be authentically of this space. And that's why Coca-Cola is not in the space like Top Shot is in the space. That's why most big brands have failed coming into the space. That's why Porsche failed and so on and so forth, because they don't see exactly the connection of how do we capitalize on this new technology, but also adhere to the expectations that the people within that space have of us. It's a fine line to cross, but when you're in this deep, you have to do it. You have no choice.
Tandy, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
I forget. No, but
Jay,
I think.
By the way, Jay, I don't think I've ever like actually talked to you in person. I've just like exchanged DMs with you, so it's very nice to meet you in person now.
Well, that's a damn shame. It's nice to meet you as well. So much time has passed. I've talked to so many people about so much bullshit. I can't even keep track anymore. But yeah, you're one of the OGs that everybody has always respected.
I don't know about that. There was a couple moments there where that went out the window.
No, but Plunge, you are an example of all press is good press. No, there's no such thing as bad press, right?
You could say that. No, I think there is definitely bad press for an individual. I think this is bad press for Roham. This is not necessarily bad press for Top Shot.
Yeah, but it would be interesting. I can't quite weave that narrative that somehow Top Shot's gonna like moon because of this article. But
no, who's making that argument?
Yeah, I did kind of, but it wasn't.
That's before you read the fucking article.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It's the front page of the blog. Maybe people will be like, you know what? I forgot. I've got some Top Shot. Let me go and participate in the marketplace.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Jay, you make a good point. And I think also what I was thinking about too, Plunge, when you were talking about like why do we expect this and these other NFT projects that are doing the same thing, I think that is like the lowest common denominator feature in Web3, let's call it, like air quotes. Just the fact that you can come together somewhere in some kind of online forum and like be amongst a community and feel like you're part of something. And I think like that's what I know Jay and I have talked about this in the past. We kind of felt like that's sort of what created the movement in the first place on Top Shot, that people could come together during COVID where you had like no human contact and all of a sudden you could sort of have fun in a Discord. And I think that feeling continues to resonate amongst Web3 projects. Now, what that's actually worth nowadays, I don't know. Probably most people probably don't value it as much as they used to.
Well, things evolve, and you have to evolve with the times. Any brand, for time immemorial, like that's always been the case. So yeah, of course, COVID was was a different time period. People were locked in their houses with nothing to do. But listen, I think sometimes we move and stray too far from the core point. Like there are core failures in decision making that have led to most, if not all, of the problems that this particular company has experienced. It's not the macro. It's not this new technology. It's not consumers' demand for more transparency and to be part of decision making. It's their decision making. They've screwed up so many times, like in a mind-boggling fashion, over and over again. They've ignored what the customer wants, what the customer craves.
Yeah.
It's I don't want to move too far away from like the point at hand, which is Top Shot could be thriving right now if not for so many bad missteps and mistakes.
But if you could boil it down though, Jay, like I think one of your biggest points that you've made in the past is that you wish that Top Shot could be more ingrained with the NBA. But something that I noticed that, and I know I'm repeating myself.
Ingrained with basketball culture, which is
sure with basketball culture. However, like if you, for example, when Top Shot was talking about, or when the NBA was talking about So Rare, right? Recently when they were in France and they had the whole meeting and Adam Silver was there and all those people were there. They had like a whole thing. All the NBA players were there and yada, yada, yada. But for example, do you feel like So Rare is somehow integrated into basketball culture? Because that is as big of a movement as you can get in your direction, right?
Certainly, because part of basketball culture is DFS. Part of basketball culture is gambling on games. Right? Like people who love and watch basketball religiously, a lot of them do it because there's money on the line. And honestly, that's how Top Shot was originally sold into us as the stock market of the NBA. So that is certainly part of basketball culture, no doubt about it. So in that regard, I do think they're more ingrained just inherently in the culture of basketball. Top Shot has this weird Frankenstein flash challenge Matt Bingo thing that keeps the product sustained and alive day to day. The rules make no sense. It's not cool. It's not fun. Like it's not a fun experience. So Rare at least has a fun DFS inspired experience that is very familiar to basketball fans. So yeah, I think inherently it is.
I don't know. I guess I don't really understand the basketball culture well enough on a broad level to be able to say whether or not So Rare is part of the culture. I'm looking at the comments.
I mean, in the sense that like players are aware of it and it's part of the conversation, like maybe. I mean, you saw that with Top Shot and like, hey, it was in locker rooms because a handful of players cared about it. And like, let's say with football, you see like, oh, sometimes someone on Twitter like claps back at someone like, fuck you, like you didn't score my fantasy points. But like, I don't know that I would say that it's ingrained in the culture, like sports betting generally. Like it's marketed exceptionally well to the user base. And like some of it is cooler than others. I don't know. It's like, I guess it's a larger, essential question. Like, can something that's tangential to the game be like integral to it? I don't know that I would say yes, but it's certainly more people know about DFS than they do about Top Shot or otherwise. But
I think part of the
I wouldn't
frustration,
say that like sports card collecting is like integral to basketball cards, even though a lot of people collect them.
Yeah. I think part of the frustration, though, is like we saw examples of how visually rich collectibles that are worth money can become part of the culture or somewhat organically. Because you remember when the UFC had that thing when the fighters were wearing on the chain and like, he was literally like knocking out his opponent and he was wearing it on his chain, right? Like that to me, that's like a real example of something like this. It's visual, it strikes a chord. It's emotional. To me, like betting, DFS, those things don't do that. And I think that Top Shot understood that, and that's what they tried to do when Dwayne Wade called it Coinbase or whatever. Like that's what they were trying to do because that's what made sense.
And Jalen Green, they tried.
Yeah, so like I can see that there was
right?
this way of potentially doing something like this. It's just it hasn't connected. However, that's where I think the frustration comes from.
Well, right, but why didn't it connect? Did it not connect because of bad strategy? Did it not connect because of bad execution? Did it not connect because these were one-off things that had no staying power? And they you need repetition, right? Like people see something once, it doesn't register. People have to see something 8, 9, 10, 15, 25 times to become immersed in it and to accept it. One-off things as tests, I suppose, are valuable, but that one-off things are not a strategy, right? Like, they are tests inherently. I do think that Dapper did a better job with NFL All Day. I do think NFL All Day is a little bit more part of the culture. It seems like a lot of the players who have gotten involved did get involved organically without even being paid to do so. I've spoken to a few of them because they actually thought it was dope. On the UFC side, yeah, I mean, I'm not involved in that project. I think you can ask Jeb, and he'll probably do a better job of articulating it. But from what I've seen, from the star players wearing the chains to the lounge experience that you can attend if you have an ultimate moment, they are definitely more ingrained in the culture. It's just a different sport. It's smaller. It's a smaller audience. So it's and the product has suffered, right? Like, they had all kinds of scams and scandals with that UFC Strike product, and I think that knocked the whole thing on its ass. And who knows if they're ever able to recover from it. Basketball is a global, universal sport that everybody loves, and there's just so much more bandwidth and potential to scale that.
Yeah, I think that in an alternate universe, if the marketing was on point and the supply was on point, and we didn't have so many additions of these different players, and they were worth more money than they are, because you already saw what happened. You already saw that people had gutter cat gangs spray painted on their sneakers. There's no reason to think that couldn't have happened. You already saw Tyrese Halliburton and his Bored Ape, and there's no reason why that couldn't have happened as well. There's really none. It literally is following the exact same template. It could have absolutely happened.
But it's not cool.
But
that's the thing, and we've talked about.
No, I know, but because of a lot of flubs, and a lot of
because
of flubs, because of mistakes, because things that go down in value are not cool. Things that precipitously lose their value are not cool. You don't see any, and even Bored Apes. You don't see basketball players flaunting their Bored Apes anymore because they lost a bunch of value.
Because they got fucking sued. Because they all got named in a lawsuit.
But not just that; it's just not cool anymore because no one wants to flaunt something that isn't worth a ton of money. If something loses 90% of its value, or whatever the case may be, it's not cool anymore.
Right, but why does something lose 90% of its value, right? Like, it's cause and effect. The reason something loses its value is because people lose interest in it.
Yeah.
Yes, scarcity is obviously part of it, but the thing never became cool. That matters. Brand matters. People thinking that you're cool and wanting to be associated with you gives your thing value. If your thing is never cool and it's just a token to be flipped, for a profit, then it doesn't have to be a basketball card. It doesn't have to be a video. Top Shot moments could be anything. If all they are is tokens to flip for a profit, right? Like, if it's not cool, if nobody wants it, and it's just a thing that you try to transact to get a couple bucks here and there, then what do you have? Like, what are you even talking about?
Well, I think it's fair to say that's kind of how this started, because money attracts everyone. And it's evolved into what it wanted to be, but it took 2.5 years to get there, and crazy market, action to get there. Because what Top Shot wanted to be was something where people collect their teams and hang out together and go in their Discords and go to games and collect and connect and play the guitar.
No, I don't think so. What Top Shot wanted to be was a proof of concept for the Flow blockchain. That's the point.
Well, that too, of course.
It didn't want to be anything. There was no strategy. They just talked. They just put out different messages here and there to see what would click. What they wanted to be was a proof of concept that could show that you could build a scalable product on the Flow blockchain. There was never a strategy to build it into a sustained brand. It just wasn't.
Yeah, well, I did remember seeing something about that, which someone who was naysaying Top Shot was saying how they sort of fell backwards into this, and now they're falling backwards out of it, or something. It was something to that nature. It wasn't really planned, the success, and they're not really planning their way into what's going wrong as well. Anyhow, well, what else do you guys want to talk about? What are you hoping happens in the next near future? What are you hoping to see? I don't know. The floor is yours.
Plunge logs back into Top Shot at some point in the next 3 months.
Did you? I did. I think I sold something recently. I just needed some quick liquidity for something, so I went in and I sold an Allen Iverson run it back into a bid because it was over $200, and it's right around the amount that I needed. So I sold into it, took my $200 and did what I did with it. But
took it off the platform like an extractor.
Oh yeah, just fucking extracting all that value. Just this fucking rent seeker over here. I am unemployed, so I have rent to pay now.
Fair.
So, but no, I stopped paying. Largely when I started at Coinbase, I stopped because I wasn't able to trade every day. And it's just it's interesting coming back to it a little bit. And I have looked recently. I'm sort of facetious in that I'm not paying any attention at all type of stuff. But it's for the most part just not as exciting as it was. It was super exciting and it captured everybody's attention, and it was it was fun to talk about.
It had a moment.
And yeah, it had a moment. And will it have moments again?
No pun intended.
Probably. I think it will. I think it will have moments again. I think they did a lot of things that in hindsight, everything has this black cloud casting shadow and pall of doubt over everything. But they actually did some really cool shit too. And you guys mentioned elements of it with Tandy in particular. So, yeah. So,
but you know what's interesting, Plunge? I mean, sure, everything that goes up goes down, and everything that goes down goes back up again. Everything is cyclical. I think we all kind of acknowledge that living in the world. But they just missed out on a moment. LeBron James just surpassed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to become the NBA's all-time scoring leader. We've been anticipating in Top Shot land and in the broader NBA community that moment in time for well over a year. We've been talking about it, right? In Top Shot, outside of Top Shot. This is a moment, literally, that people associated with Top Shot and the NBA more broadly have been looking forward to for a very long time. Top Shot bungled it. It did not become a moment for the product. It did not become an opportunity to talk to people outside of the Top Shot universe and invite them into Top Shot for the very reason that Top Shot supposedly exists, which is to own these iconic moments, literal moments, as it was happening. So if that shit didn't work, what's the next moment going to be?
Kobe.
Maybe. Maybe. Or Mike. But why? But why? If LeBron's moment couldn't be a moment that was a rallying cry, that was galvanizing, that brought in attention from outside of the 3,000 or 4,000 degenerates who actually do this thing every day now, if that couldn't be a moment, the thing that everybody was looking forward to for years, what will be a moment and why?
I mean, do you think?
Hold on. I'm gonna let Shark come up. Shark, get your request in again.
Yeah, get the shark up, baby. Let's fucking fins up, bros. Wait, but do you think? Let me ask you this, man. It's also, hi guys. Sorry, I just barged in because I haven't talked enough today. Do you guys think they'll say they rattled off? I don't know, 6 months of good vibes. And by good vibes, I don't mean people just tweeting out being vibes are good. I mean actual stuff that feels like it's good,
momentum.
Good. Don't you think that changes things a little bit? Because for me, it's less about LeBron. Because even the LeBron moment with how bearish I've been on all this stuff, I was like, oh man, that's sick. And I bought a pack. I think I bought 3 of them, even though I haven't bought anything. Yeah,
JBB came back.
JBB, right? And I think I think the interest is still there. I just think they just have to go out and just do good stuff consistently.
Yeah,
and they just haven't. They haven't. And they also aren't owning the L's that they're.
Well, Mike, how do you want them to own the L's, though? That's something I was wondering about when I heard you say that earlier. How could they own the L's but do it in a way that they still look good?
Literally, I mean, maybe they don't look good. I don't give a shit about how they look. But maybe just have any sort of dialogue, any sort of communication. Dude, listen. We also, Tandy, you're crushing with 40 people in here right now, because I was about to say for the 9 of us in here. There's 40 crushing.
I know, right? Thanks to my wonderful guests.
No, dude, fuck them. That's you, man. But think about it. They even the way that they communicated how this week was going to go, they had this manipulative bullshit tweet from the NBA Top Shot updates that is like we've always said, if you want to get questions in for the blog that's upcoming, go ahead and send it. And then I learned the blog's already been set, right? So even in the way they try to communicate with us is so fabricated and manipulated or manipulative that it's there's nothing honest that's happening. There's nothing clear that's happening. All I want them to do is be you know what? The moments are dope right now. We're still crushing the moments. You know what's pretty sick? The predictive challenges. We're crushing those. did we fumble maybe like how we did some of the All-Star game stuff yet? Like, I don't know. I feel like there is a way to talk about things that you're not doing well. Do you disagree, Metz? You think we should just be all erection all the time? Like that we just say that we like everything's good?
So I'm pro erection. I think I've always been clear on that.
Thanks for clarifying.
I have no issue.
Give him the fire.
Yeah, who isn't really?
Right. No, I don't know. I don't think it matters, honestly, Mike. Like, I think being better at communication and owning up to your mistakes and turning negatives into positives, like, sure, like that works. Like, that's what good brands do. And yes,
Yeah.
I would advocate for that kind of behavior, but that's not going to spark the next bull run. It's not going to bring people from the outside in. Like, the brand still needs to figure out how to be cool. The brand still needs to figure out rules that govern what it does and how it behaves. The brand still has to figure out a strategic North Pole that they're building towards. And until those things happen, like it's all for show, and it's all for just 3,000 people. Like, nobody cares.
Yeah, you're right. You're thinking of like a full bull run, and I'm just thinking of like, how can we make the 3,000 people excited?
Yeah, until the great unlock. Like, everything with Top Shot is like ledges that people are about to fall off of. Like, everybody who's actually invested in this thing, all they're thinking about is when my shit unlocks, like, I'm gone, right? Like, most people.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm not going to deny that.
So that's
That
a
last
Shark.
one,
that was
Shark's
Shark.
here, baby.
Shark's under the water right now.
Let's give him some fire emojis, though.
Yeah, let's fire him up.
Hey, Mike. I know we never really chatted on a like, you know, audio or visual basis or anything like that. Look, just for the record, I know that I have been throwing some shade out there, and at this moment, I really don't have anything against anybody. All right, except for Dapper, who is like trying to make my life miserable. All right, like trying to make your lives miserable. Like I at this moment, we're all in this together. All right. I'm not coming down on anybody. Tandy, you're great. The rest of y'all, I never really got to know y'all well enough to cast judgment. All right, so past bygones be bygones. I hope to an extent. You know, and there are more than 3,000 people. All right, there were.
You're right. It is 5. Let's be honest. It's 5.
Ago. No, there were 7,700 buyers like 2 weeks ago, and now it's down to 4,700. Why? I can't tell you. I don't know exactly why things move the way they do. I read the live token metrics. That's all I really do. You don't have to be John to like look at the Discord. Like, you have to just look at the Discord, and then it's, you know, what are you gonna do? Like, deny that? So like, I mean, I don't mean to like step on anybody's toes, but yeah, everybody's nervous. Everybody has a right to be at this exact moment, and I just tried to keep things like. I'm speaking in the past tense. I hope that's premature, but I just tried to keep things level and set my own standard for what I thought people should be paying attention to, and I didn't want to like FUD unnecessarily. But at this moment, who cares, right?
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah,
I think you could have, but that's fine. Well, whatever, Jay. Whatever.
No, you know what, Shark? I appreciate that you're one of those guys that's looking for the positive. You know, and it's good too. It's good because it's not good to only see the negative stuff because that just makes you a mopey dick. No one wants to be a mopey dick.
And on that subject, I wasn't going to go full AG, man. That's just not my personality.
Yeah, exactly. But
I'm sorry.
It's the Joker over there. But that's the whole thing. It's like you want you need a balance in life. You know, you need someone who's looking for the good and someone who's willing to give you the raw critical details as well.
I was just looking for the real. I was willing to be as negative as it good if somebody could prove it to me. That's all I ask is you prove it to me and me not have any reservations about what you're trying to tell me. That everybody sort of be able to make up their own mind without there being a mob mentality. Why is that so crazy?
Mob mentality, bad.
Yeah. Bad. What else?
I
guys?
mean, yes and no. Mob mentality keeps people alive, though. Like, we're going way back. Right? Like, don't stick your neck out. You're going to get it cut off.
Until they
That's a
all
fair
You're going
point.
back to like gangs of New York. Is that your
And that's even further back,
Dude.
Shark.
Dude, that was such a good. I need to go watch that tonight. That's
Great
been
movie.
20 years since that movie came
Yeah, it's been
out.
That's a great
long
movie.
time.
That's a great fucking
Such a
movie.
good movie.
Yeah.
One of the best I've
Fuck,
ever
dude.
seen.
Now I got to go watch that. No,
But anyhow-
2002, so 21 years.
Yeah, that's a long time. Daniel
Good
Day-Lewis,
callback.
he doesn't make movies anymore apparently. But My Left Foot.
Yeah.
But
Ooh,
yeah. So
Luka.
so Mike is hoping that on this AMA, which by the way, the AMA is going to be like totally prepared for and written. And
well,
so
my
Mike,
understanding, maybe Metz. I know you're like the professional leaker of VIP Alpha. I heard that this was just for that this was just for the VIP, and what they're doing is just turning the camera and audio on. Like, so the questions are coming from the VIP. Which, again, this goes back to this manipulative bullshit. Like, ask me anything if you spend enough money, which I'm all for the VIPs getting perks. But just tell me that's what you're doing. Why are you pretending like I'm getting an HJ when I'm not getting an HJ? Don't lie to me about the J.
now we're talking about utility.
I will say, Mike, the first time I met
Or
Brian,
an AJ.
the guy who heads up the VIP, I think he's still there. I honestly, I don't even know who's still there. I think Brian is still there. He's a good dude. The first time I spoke to him, what I said was, you need to advertise the perks that you're giving to VIPs. You need to make other people on the outside looking in feel like they need to spend more money because they desperately want to be a part of it. It makes no sense to give perks to your biggest spenders and not promote the hell out of it to make everybody else jealous. So that I never understood. In terms of the AMA, I actually don't know anything about it. I saw something about it in the Discord this morning. I know Roham had been promising it for a while. I guess they actually announced it. I didn't see an announcement, but I will be sure to leak everything that comes out of VIP.
No, well, what they said is that, like, so they made it seem like it was an AMA for everybody on Friday.
Okay.
But that the questions are just coming from the VIP.
Okay.
Which, like, whatever. I mean, like, good. I'm glad they're having an AMA. I just love that idea of just being like, yeah, dude, ask me anything as long as you're this group of people.
Yeah, and it's going to be like edited ahead of time, and they're going to like read the questions and just. Don't you remember the last time there was one of these with Roham, and it was questions that were selected, and then they published the blog, and then went live with the whatever it was. It wasn't the AMA, but he literally just read the blog. Like, the blog was published, and then he read the blog. Like, I think like they're doing things very controlled and making sure there's like literally no chance for anything that's said outside of like the boundaries that they've set, which I think is directly against what you, Mike, are hoping for. You're hoping for something a little more raw, like questions being asked.
Candy,
I'm not sure. Yeah. Go ahead, Sharky.
If I may, I mean, any company at this juncture would want to stop the bleeding however they could. And opening it up entirely to only the VIPs is not really my idea of stopping the bleeding. But if you can control for it somehow, like, it is actually a responsible thing to do. Not just for them, but for us. Like, honestly, it's like, that's kind of why I empathize with the locking, because locking is stopping the bleeding. Like, if you actually go to the market right now, it's not down like nearly as much as I thought. I guess maybe that's just my perception of it. But like,
how much further can we go, Shark?
I mean,
that's the point. The answer is not that much. Not that much. We don't have that much more to worry about.
Exactly.
Well, unless you use Floaty. I don't know if you guys have a promo code for Floaty, but if you use Floaty, you can sell for less than $1.
Oh God.
Here's my great question though. I was talking about this the other day with someone. If there was an option, like from the outset, to sell for multiples of 10 cents instead of just $1, like, would we be where we are now? If you could sell a moment for 10 cents, would it have mattered?
They diluted all of the good stuff as soon as they kind of rolled out the locker packs and, you know, the lotto opportunities where you can pull an S1 for a lot. Like, every decision they made killed any of the higher end stuff anyway. So whether it was 10 cents, 20 cents, 80 cents, $1, it wouldn't have mattered. The floor was always going to be what carried this product until they figured out how to actually make people give a shit about them as collectibles.
So that's part of the reason why I asked the question, is because for whatever reason, and I think MBL is probably on this, like, there should be worthless fucking moments, and there never
100%.
Really have been. There haven't
100%.
been, and like, because they're all $1, if you've got 1,000 moments, you've got $1,000. But like, if you had 1,000 of the worst like physical cards, you would have $0. So I think there's a perception thing too.
I mean, that's how they sell packs, right? They sell packs based on the anticipated value of what's in the pack. So if it's purely valueless, they can't charge as much for packs in their mind.
I disagree. Okay. Because and the reason that I say that is because card collecting, like, if I go and buy an NBA Prism pack, like from Panini, I don't give a shit about the Jared Vanderbilt base card. Like, I'm literally going to throw it away. I'm looking for the LaMelo autograph, or I'm looking for the Cade
Yeah.
Cunningham, or whatever the thing is. Like, and obviously the dynamics are different and all of those things, but like, given that we priced those things, and for a long time priced the shittiest ones as $3, like we looked at a pack of 3 cards as, oh, there's $9, I'm getting my money back. But if they were 30 cents and you had to make a choice of like, oh, I'm getting $9, and my worst case scenario here is not 30 cents versus $9 or $8 or whatever it is, would things have changed in behavior? And I would love to know how Tandy and Mike, how you think about that, and if that would have changed how you operated in the past too.
Ooh, that's a good question. Tandy, you have an answer?
I was too busy looking up Diplo JPEGs.
Jesus Christ.
I need to hear the question again.
So the question was, and Jay makes a good point of like the perceived value or the expected value coming back to you and all the calculations. John Boy Beats, great job, like kicking ass.
Yeah.
A lot of that in a standard pack has been sort of bolstered by the fact that at least early on, until like not that long ago, the worst you could do on a three card pack was like $8 or $9. Like you get your money back.
Yeah.
That dynamic doesn't play out in like physical cards, right?
Right.
You get a pack of 4 cards, 4 of them might be worth 0 and they're
Right.
$0. So you're like the high upside might be there, but like you're comfortable with like, I'm literally lighting this money on fire if there isn't something good in here.
Yeah.
And I think that dynamic is different in NBA Top Shot because there's always been a floor price of like $1 or $2 or $3. So would your perception or your behavior have changed if you could have sold these things for 10 cents and you pulled 3 junk things and it was only worth 30 cents versus like $8 or $9 or $10 when the packs were like not that abundant?
I would say absolutely that would have changed my perception. It goes back to the girlfriend cooking you the cuisine. It's like the cuisine, the delicious dinners is getting your money back. And, you know, if the girlfriend doesn't know how to cook at all, then that's the 10-cent return. And then that's what you expect from now on. So later on when you're like, sweetie, I'm not going to ask you to cook me anything because you're going to burn everything. So let's just order out. Am I right?
I don't think I've ever heard this analogy, and just in case this is being recorded and shared, I'm just going to vehemently disagree that that's the only way to gain any value from a relationship, Tandy, especially as someone whose wife just ate fucking burn, Tandy.
Oh, and by the way, she's not a good cook either. So let's just throw that out there. But that's okay, because that's my point. It's not the only thing that matters. But I'm just giving an analogy.
I think that's Plunge. I don't think it would have adjusted anything that I was doing just because of how I was doing it, but I do think it would have adjusted like a large number of collectors. Like I do think the general discourse around this was like, hey, this is dope that this is going to be at least worth this, but if I smash it, it'll be worth this. And I think that was, you know, like there was always the risk of losing something, but I think like you were calculating what the loss was going to be every time you did it. And I think what happened is like the bottom of that fell out pretty quickly. But I do think it would have changed the way a lot. Sorry,
they leaned into it. They capitalized on it. They encouraged people actually to buy the common shit for the longest time because that's where you were going to get your best collector score before they got rid of collector score. So they leaned.
Don't remind me that I have like 7,000 bucks playoff moments of like Brooke Lopez.
Right,
Yeah,
because they gamified it.
I had
That's the
150 Jaren Jackson 40Ks.
It's a game.
That's
like
too many.
The thing about Top Shot is like they've always treated it like a game. They tell this story that they want it to be a collectible, but it's not a collectible. It might be in the future, who knows? But they've always put their finger on the scale, right? Like they've told people what to buy, and in most cases, they were telling people to buy a lot of common stuff. Because it helped them raise the floor and then create this perception that you should buy packs because you will never lose buying packs. And B, because it helped them, in their mind, scale out the game that they wanted people to play. Now, the game never had coherent rules. The rules continued to change in lots of bad ways that hurt a lot of people and then ultimately hurt values. But they always leaned into making stuff that should be worthless, not worthless, because it benefited them. It ensured more revenue for them. So it's not cardboard. It was never supposed to be cardboard. They've treated it very differently from cardboard.
Yeah, until they went to cardboard conventions,
right?
And they were
until
like,
it became cardboard.
It's interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think in retrospect, I'm looking back at this and thinking like, as much as I understood like the proximity of Top Shot to cardboard, like that Janie was trying to get us to understand, like as much as I like understood that to be a pretty decent marketing play, I felt like the cereals and whatnot, like there's a comparison to be made at least. But marketing it that way, I'm starting to look back at it and say, gee, like maybe there was another way to communicate value. Maybe there was another, like, was the collector score reversal more pain than we could really afford at that time? Was that a switch we could really afford to make? And yeah, spending 150, like getting 150 Jaren Jackson Jr. 40Ks was not my real idea of a good time, but I wanted the grails. Like that was my calculus, and that was, I'm pretty sure everyone else.
You were told that's how to play it, though.
Exactly. Like you were told you want to get your hands on that pack. Well, you better start collecting a whole bunch of worthless players from your team that you don't even care about, but you can get it for cheap. So like, yeah, it's just foul looking back that it was then switched up.
Yeah, and I wanted whatever grail perks there were to get. I wanted there was one insinuation at one point, like, oh, if you collect full team, you'll get game tickets, And
the
I was
teams
like,
want to know who their biggest fans are. That's
right.
all common stuff.
And I heard that, and I was like, all right, I better get a full team while I can. So I bought.
You wanted to hang out with Ben Simmons.
That's legit the last spaces we had, right? Wasn't that one of the last spaces we had? It was like Jacob and Alan explaining TSS and how this was the future of fandom. And it's like not just about teams, it's about player leaderboards, and it's about all this stuff. And like you want the pack.
I remember that.
Not the nitpick.
I was on that call. I was sitting in the Party City parking lot. I remember exactly where I was.
What are you at Party City for?
I was getting balloons for a birthday. Come on. I'm a fun guy.
I'm a fun guy.
Not the nitpick, but the last spaces had to have been the one where Jacob basically said, yeah, we're having run it back 86, 87. There was one where he was like, there's going to be a bunch of historical TSDs, and that's what that became. So that was the last
Sharky, one. Don't be that guy.
Sure.
But
I mean, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
But yeah, it's a good point. Like whatever happened to player leaderboards, by the way? How many times have those been used? Were they used in the LeBron thing?
Or
no,
even
right?
talked about?
Yeah,
they were used.
Coming
in the
soon.
Thing, but...
It's coming soon. When I was on Discord earlier today, I saw Sean said something about there's a blog post coming up soon about player leaderboards.
Let's get that blog out.
There's a lot of carrots. There's a lot of carrots. There's a lot of sticks and a lot of carrots.
It's all
which gets people to buy, which is good for us.
Which is what we buy. Exactly, Shark.
Except when the principle loses all its value, and then it's not so good.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, did you guys watch part one of you?
Save it,
Have
Plunge.
you guys ever seen Gangs of New York? It's a really good movie. Sorry.
Shark, have you since like the information today and just like the last like month or so, have you changed any position? Because I feel like you were one of the strong tentpole, like planted the flag, being like, here we go. It's still good. This is still great.
Plunge said that?
Oh, did I say Plunge? I thought I said Shark. No, Shark.
Oh, okay.
No, sure. I didn't.
How has your approach to stuff shifted, or maybe it hasn't shifted at all? I would just be curious.
So first of all, the first thing I'm absolutely going to say is not taking like the line that that is sort of that was sort of extreme to me on some of the comms and some of the supply things. Like feeling the way I did about that did not mean that I was bullish. It did not mean that I thought everything was going to happen tomorrow. It did not mean that I thought everything was going to happen in 3 to 6 months. I just took things for what they were. That was my whole thing. And with that said, the information today and yesterday and over the past week with the layoffs and the high profile leaving and whatnot has made me not only more cautious, but start to sell. It breaks my heart to say that. I do not want to do that, but I have to protect myself.
Tandy, do you have like a breaking news thing that you could put up?
Only on YouTube. That's the one thing that this thing's missing.
Shit.
I don't have my video drops.
part of being a shark, wow, I can't believe I just said that. But like, my mentality has always been get the most out of the product, whether that's game tickets or, I mean, I'm not trying to shy away from profits, and I'm not trying to take massive losses either. So I absolutely need to protect myself, and it's in line with what I've always thought is just like protect your money, for crying out loud, you know.
Protect your neck.
Amen.
Damn sure.
There's some good ones in the chat though. Sharks out here selling to minnows. Say the line about constantly moving forward. Yeah, dude, you're prime for it. And I 100% agree with you. Self shaming is nobody should do it. If you go get that bread, Shark. Go get it.
Get that bread.
There are offers people haven't taken.
It might be a little bit.
They still,
right.
Yeah, I assume people still want to keep those offers up. I can take them if I choose.
Like I said, I did the other day. I saw one. I was like, oh, I'll snag that because I didn't want to go list something. And yeah, there's a little bit of a spread, but yeah, I think the offer feature is cool. And as long as they make it like easier to use, the more liquidity, the better. Like the closer the spread between bid and ask, and the more sort of like accurate that is, the better off for everybody. Even if like number go down because of it, like it's much tighter if the pricing is right.
Definitely.
Yeah. And that's definitely a simp angle, which is just the fact that the platform as a whole is smooth. It's real smooth. It's real nice.
Yep.
It's real smooth. You know what I'm saying?
Real nice.
Moment curation.
Real smooth.
Perfecto.
What's the last moment you guys have bought? Have you guys bought anything recently?
No.
I love that we're talking about and have been talking about Top Shot for like a month or for like an hour, and now it's at bottom moment.
I have. I'll tell you.
There you go, Jay. Let
me look it up.
I think I might have bought something. Hold on. Let me look.
Shark, what did you buy?
I bought the Knicks TSD for $49, which shout out to Dynamic Duos and all the people who shouldn't have sold those when they got distributed, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike. I hate to bring that up, but everybody's entitled to their own opinion, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you're. My bit was that I thought it was funny that people were locking a bunch of shit to then sell it for $90. I thought that was funny,
crazy.
But
it's less now.
Well, yeah. It's and you know what? What did you buy it for, Shark?
$49.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it on April 1st for $34.
And I can live with that. And that's the
okay, yeah, difference. All right. I'm saying like if that was your take, that it was like, well, yeah, those clowns like got $50 on it. I know, Ed, that's the entirety of this whole conversation. I feel like is just like, yeah, you can buy it today or you can buy it next month. Like, show me the moments that haven't done that,
But again, Mike, like we can't buy or sell shame. Like, people had the best of intentions when they locked their stuff. They thought the platform was on an upward trajectory and things were going to go good, but they didn't. And everything starts to plummet because of bad decision making and bad execution.
Absolutely.
So you know what? You think you're going to get something great and it turns out to be shit and you need some funds. You sell it or else you hold it and it's just going to go lower and lower and lower. So that's just the reality of the game.
No, I totally agree. And I'm like one of those people. The only moments I have left, I think, are locked.
Yeah. Yeah, I just looked it up. The last thing I bought was a couple of Gordon Hayward trash commons for $1 a piece on offers, so I could burn them for a challenge. Yeah.
I found my one too. It was a Josh Hart for a challenge that I then gave up on and didn't complete.
Let's go.
People buy for challenges because there's this dopamine hit to play the game and not necessarily for collecting.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Or get something dope. Like, I mean, I played the LeBron 5-pack challenge and I got a Luka TSD, so I'm not complaining.
That's true. I saw that, Sharky.
Like I can make like 100% ROI. But Mike, to your point, man, I mean, regardless of how we choose to get there, I'm heading in the same direction where I'm only going to have potentially, the moments that I already locked, and I can't believe I'm saying it because I thought we were moving in the right direction.
I mean, that's
so how
my
does
point.
The platform
like,
grow?
What happens?
How do you survive? How do you, as a platform, do well when your biggest believers basically come out and say, I can't justify doing this anymore. I can't justify spending any more money on this. If anything, I'm going to go the opposite direction.
You don't. You right the ship, you plug the leaks, and then you wait for people to come back.
Okay. Well, if there's sharks around biting into the ship, how are you going to plug those leaks?
Asian
Well,
shark.
It's the
well,
fingers, man. We need lots of little Dutch boys with their fingers and stuff.
Dutch boys.
Guys, isn't that the story of the dike? No?
Say it
Wait,
again. Tell us the story of the dike.
We're not. No, we cannot talk about that here.
No, the Dutch boy plugging the hole in the dike with his finger.
Oh, the dike.
Yeah.
I don't know this story, Plunge. Can you tell us? Can we have
No, I
story
can't.
time with Plunge?
Yeah, Jeb
Can you
is correct,
Google it?
By the way.
The dike with the finger
I'm
and the
not
shark.
googling the dike on
The dike,
Dutch boy
finger, and the
finger.
shark.
The Little Dutch Boy by Hans Brinker.
Oh. The first link says why the little Dutch boy never put his finger in the dike.
Somebody's got to
We're
change the
fixing-
subject like real fast. Real fast. Shark, tell us about what you ate for dinner.
I ate some minnows who, left their $1 offers up.
There you go.
Does it feel weird? Because I feel like shark. So I feel like your mantra for a while was that you were the shark because you were buying a bunch of stuff. Does it feel weird now to be a shark for selling this stuff to people who are now buying your stuff?
Okay, bit of a misconception then, because the concept for me was just to get after it, to get after the challenges I thought were good, and to discern what opportunities were good and what weren't. Like to be just real about it, and I made those gifts. I put up those gifts of the polar bear jumping out of the water because sometimes you jump out of the water, and then sometimes you get after it, and so I wanted to make those distinctions as to where I was at and see if people were similarly enthused or engaged or whatever the hell. Like, I just want to make my sort of brief snapshot assessments of, is this a good challenge? So people don't have to read, the whole riot act to figure out if it's a good challenge. So that's all I was really doing.
I got you.
That makes sense.
I can't believe you guys didn't know the story about the Little Dutch Boy. That's just, you guys need to read more.
But
Yeah,
tell
you
me
gotta-
more about
You guys
this.
spend too much time online.
It's true.
You're right.
What dikes are there and where are they?
In Holland, it's the Low Country. Like the Netherlands is below the level of the sea, so they have all sorts of dikes, like levees, and that keeps their irrigated their fields free from water. Come on, you gotta be cultured, man of culture. We gotta everybody read book club. Everybody go read the Little Dutch Boy.
Yeah, I'm taking a look in the back end here. Taking a look at the finger in the dike.
All right, well then share the pictures. Share the pictures so I don't feel like I just wasted the last hour and a half of my life.
Did you guys see? Sorry, listen. I'm gonna run this by the playback chat right now. Did you guys see? Shut up, Dumbo. I love Dumbo. You see Dumbo's tweet right here?
Let me find it.
Is
I
it
just
about
dropped
pie
it.
by
I dropped it
any
in the
chance?
chat.
Okay, here we go.
So should I quote tweet this and say I know someone with a private jet?
Oh God, yeah.
I think that's fair.
No,
Oh,
You know
that's
what, Mike?
good.
you should
Fair game.
you should say
Absolutely.
something like, "Is there not an Apple store in Denver that you can get a charger like a normal human being? Do they not pay you enough to buy a new charger?"
For real.
2 days from now, it's like, after much consideration, I have decided I am leaving Dapper Labs. It's like, Luke! It's like he's the last one.
Oh, jeez.
I love this because I know Luke can't respond. Like he can't. He's
responds to
gonna DM me.
everything.
He's like, "You motherfucker!" Like that's all he's gonna say.
It's good
All right.
though.
And what are we doing about Janie, BT Dubs? Like,
There's nothing to do. She hasn't worked here for months.
are we burning her at the stake, or we just let her
No.
go on her way?
Yeah, she's fine.
No burning at the stake. It does show though. Like I think Janie's faults, in my opinion, were excessive GIF usage and a VP of growth where there was none. Okay, those are the faults. But I think there was also some of the other side, which I think she was trying to tell us in code when she's like, "Guys, I'm fighting for you. I'm fighting for the collectors. I'm in
Right,
there
I
tooth and
remember that.
nail."
Do that.
She was basically telling us what would later come out in this article, basically. And obviously she took a mental health break because Roham put some poop emojis all over her Slack message or something.
I'm gonna push back a little bit. I don't know how much. I don't know
Wait,
how much.
did that happen?
I don't know how much flag waving we should wave that she crushed it.
No,
So Shark, what are
said
you
she
having
crushed
for
it?
dinner tonight, Shark? What's your dinner plans for tonight?
Tread carefully on all of this, everyone.
Yeah.
It might be a fucking offer on my LeBron TSD. I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah.
It might
Wait,
be.
I feel like what just happened? I feel like my stream like rewinded 30 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think.
You guys ever seen that movie Margin Call? It kind of feels like that, where
Yeah.
they realize that the subprime mortgages are about to go bunk, and they're like selling to anyone who will buy. Like that's kind of how I feel.
That's how you feel. Like you're in a movie right now.
I feel like I'm Jeremy Irons being like, we must remain calm and then sell everything. Just sell everything.
Are you the lead? Are you the lead character?
I don't know if I'm Kevin Spacey. Maybe I'm Kevin Spacey. I don't know.
I think you might be. I think you might be.
I don't want to be Kevin Spacey.
That's a
Kevin
comparison.
Spacey
Yeah,
sucks.
stay away from that one. Yeah, Kevin Spacey's a creep.
Yeah, he is.
Maybe I'm what's his face. I feel actually, you know what? I think what's his face? Kendall from Succession is in that movie. It's kind of a throwback, but I think he's got like a minor part. What's his name? Jeremy Strong? Maybe I'm him. I don't know.
Sure.
So I think in lieu of burning at the stake, we should take another literary reference. I don't know if you guys have read The Scarlet Letter, but we should like Hester Prynne. Like that's where it's at. If you guys don't know that reference, read a book. Come on.
I read that book, but I was like 12, so my memory doesn't work as well as yours apparently. Plunge.
Were you a little Dutch boy sticking your fingers in dikes?
Yeah, you remember that stuff well, but I don't. I have trouble.
All right, we can relax, guys. We gotta relax with that. Like you guys are taking a Plunge literal reference and being like, guys, here's the one thing I know about bodies. All right, relax. I like that I feel like I was like, oh, I don't know if we should give a free pass, and we're like, no, we got to rewind the
I
conversation.
cut you off. I did that.
But then everybody started talking about fingering, and I was
different.
like, why is that? Okay,
it's different. It's so different. It's so different because we're not talking about what's getting fingered. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, what are we doing?
See, this is what happens when you get. This is what happens, Mike, when you get Metz on a stream, right? This is what you have to know.
I'm the one that's trying to not let it go to a bad place by taking it to a less bad place in my mind.
Yeah. By the way, has Plunge true or false? Have you read a book in the last 20 years?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm currently I've like 100 pages left in Mistborn. Anybody read Mistborn?
I don't know what that means, but just because you got called out in the chat that all your book references are from like grade school.
From AP English, which is a high school course for smart people.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. But no, that's what I think Jeb's in the chat. What's Jeb up to? I haven't seen him in a while. No, I have.
Jeb, you can jump on. Jeb's probably at work.
Yeah, can we talk about Jeb's suit jacket choice and like the lack of the bottom button unbuttoning in that picture? Tandy, can you pull this up with the Bentley?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me go look for it.
Can we talk about this for a second? Because he's talking shit in the chat,
this.
and we gotta. It's a Rolls Royce or Bentley, whatever. And my guy just fucking the bottom button on the suit jacket.
All right, let me find it. All right, there's Jeb dancing. All right, here we go. Got there. Let's get it over here.
Rolls Royce. Jeb, I miss you, dude.
There we go. All right. Can we see that? All right.
Let's see it. I still see a shark and the TV.
It should be there.
There it is. My
James
God,
Fresh.
dude, he's looking sharp there. Look at that. All buttons.
Would he take his private jet there? Oh, that's the other guy.
Yeah, dude. I'm into it. I like the beard too. I know he's been rocking a beard for a long time, but he looks very distinguished. But yeah, I haven't seen a bunch of you guys in a while. I do need to run. I gotta go pick up my kid from daycare. But glad to chop it up, Jay. Good to see you in person.
Good to
Shark,
see you, bro.
nice to hear your voice. I hadn't heard your voice before, so that's a pleasant surprise. You've got the best laugh in the business. I'm gonna leave with that note. I love
I'm flattered.
I'm obsessed with it. So can you record it and just send me a DM with it? That would be great.
No, but nice to meet you.
Oh shit! Put it on the blockchain, bro. Put it on the blockchain.
I love it.
You sell that shit. Anyway, good to see you guys. I'll see you all later. Have a good one.
Take care, Plunge. Thank you.
Chandy, how long have you been rocking? How long has this been going on?
It's going on for an hour and a half. My wife hasn't even told me the baby's screaming yet. That's good.
Wow.
It's probably coming any minute, though. Any minute. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about?
No.
No.
I covered it.
Nah, it just kind of is what it is. It's
Yeah.
par for course, right? Like if this happened a year ago, this article coming out, I think people would be shocked. I just think just read the tea leaves, man. Like it's not good. It hasn't been good for a while. There's so many things that are wrong. There's not going to ever be just one quick fix, right? Like nothing. To your point earlier, Mike, like there's not one thing that can happen over the coming months that's just going to all of a sudden set this thing
Right.
on the right track. It still at this point doesn't know what it wants to be, right? Like we've been crying about this for almost 2 years. There's no clarity on what this thing actually wants to be when it grows up. And in the meantime, it's just been sputtering and spiraling in different directions, out of control for the most part, and leaving people in its wake. People who work there, people who collect and invest, people who speculate. Like it just is what it is right now.
I feel bad for the people that work there, or the people that used to work there too. Like that.
Why? They're collecting a paycheck. Why?
No. The people that are still there, right? I mean, I feel like a lot of people have been in a similar situation where there's some sort of downsizing, or somebody leaves a job, and then you signed up for a job, and now all of a sudden you're doing 2 jobs. But this has happened twice now, so now you're doing
corporate America, bro. Like, that's just the reality of it. We've all seen it. We've all been there. I mean,
totally.
You could also look at it the other way. I know Sean and Matt and Austin. They're looking at this as an opportunity for more power, more responsibility, to be elevated in the company. So you can look at it both ways.
Maybe Sean. I don't know about all of them, but to me, I don't know. I feel like they're doing a lot of work, and then have to deal. Like they are the ones who are dealing with the errors and the mistakes and the communications, while probably still being forced from like poor infrastructure and leadership for the last like year and a half, and just have to like eat it, right? Like they can't really say anything. And you're right. They are collecting a paycheck, and I hope they're getting paid more than I think they are to deal with a lot of this. Just from talking to people who are there and who are no longer there, it bums me out.
It's a tough place to work.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people. There's a lot of like reactions to this being like, well, dude, suck it up, dude. It's just corporate. Like you were just saying, corporate America, dude, put your head down, collect your pay. Like there's a lot of that. There's a lot of people saying like, hey, we already knew this. So like, why is this a problem? It's just like this weird rationalization that just goes back to our bags. Like it's not a problem. The product's fine. We just need new leadership, whatever it is.
No, I don't think that. I don't think the product is fine. I don't think we just need new leadership. I don't think the product is even defined. I don't think anybody knows what the product is. I don't think it needs to exist. So I don't adhere to that. And no, listen, I understand anybody's plight if they're in a shitty work situation, but no job is awesome for the most part.
No, totally.
Jobs are hard always. So yeah, it's an opportunity. You're getting involved in a brand new industry with a brand new company trying to create something that never existed before. Of course, it's going to be chaotic. It doesn't have to be culturally foul, but you're signing up for chaos when you join a startup in a brand new industry. It is what it is.
Like Jay, I have to say, man, like I think there are some obvious instances where like the LeBron anthology is definitely a collectible. Like the Magic TSD is definitely collectible, whereas the 60Ks, I think obvious to everyone who collects on the platform aren't. So there is like a delineation. I would make a distinction between there are collectibles and there are game pieces. And the game pieces are cheap, and people bought commons thinking like, oh, maybe this will be in a challenge like a year from now, and sometimes there aren't because there are way too many editions now. But we knew what this was. It's more like we knew what we thought it was going to be, with stability, with continuity, with leadership that like could sort of make up its own mind about its expectations. Like part of this, I think, is like there was too much capitulation. There was too much of NBL's thing about the serials. Honestly, nobody really wants to hear it, but there's a point to be made where like at first they were going to randomize everything but top 1 through 3 for dynamic duos, and then later this time around they're like, no, we're randomizing the top 30, and NBL is like, well, what do I do? Like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to expect? And part of it is just like, well, they must have been angry at us, so now we have to capitulate. And then when you capitulate, it's like, well, now what do we do? And so the capitulation became a form of instability, which became more capitulation and more instability and more anger and more, not knowing what to expect. So
I don't think
I think it went both ways.
I don't think any rational person thought they were punishing NBL for not getting a number 1. Like the dude built a third-party site that is beneficial.
It wasn't his point, though.
No, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't his point. Yeah. The point was that they just suck at communicating. They suck at the infrastructure and the leadership. Like it's insane. You know what the best part about? And I'll shut up about this. But the best part, like with Dynamic Duos came out, and they're like, "Hey, why didn't you guys just like tell us this is how you're going to do dynamic duos. And they're like, you know what? That's fucking great feedback, guys. We should have made that clear. And then they did the same. Well, they did the exact opposite, where instead of, they just were like, oh, we still won't tell you anything, and then we'll do it this way. And then, and this is what we talk about going back to like owning your L's, like the conversation that I had earlier. Would love some sort of understanding of like what went on in the thought process of like, hey guys, I know you might disagree with why we decided to not only randomize it, but also not tell you why we're going to randomize it. Here's where we were in that thinking. Because when they don't give me anything like that, then I'm just like, oh, it's because you just didn't think about it, even though it was already brought up.
But Mike, when they do give us anything, we kill them anyway. Janie said this to me in no uncertain terms. If I explain it, they'll kill me. If I stick to my guns, they'll kill me. And if I say nothing, they'll kill me. So
that's just not true.
That's such a bullshit cop out. Like that's like, yes, they would have gotten some flack, but it's much easier for me to disagree with a line of thinking than disagree with the line of thinking that I have to make up because you didn't share it time and time again. Do you know 100%. What I mean? And
like, I disagree with you. I don't disagree. I just think they had no way of being able to sort of like have stability to the point where they could actually anticipate how people were going to react. They had no real handle on how we were going to do.
Here's an idea, Shark. Here's how you get a handle is you share the information ahead of time instead of figuring it out after after it's over. Maybe. Do you know what I mean? Like if that was out there, I'll listen, let me put my So Rare merch on because everybody knows that's where I'm like deep in the bag, right? But like So Rare has made a couple of announcements that people have been like, wow, this announcement ahead of this sucks, guys. And they're like, you know what? We hear you. We see you. And we'll make an adjustment to the shitty announcement. But instead, what happens with Top Shot time and time again is that it's after the fact. It's too late. And then they're like, hey, don't worry, guys. Scarcity matters. We won't miss a second Donovan Mitchell rare moment in 3 weeks time. And then they're like, oh shit, we did. Oh, my bad. Do you know what I mean? Like there's
they just don't know. They don't have a playbook. They don't. Right. It's the answer to everything. There's no strategy. There hasn't been a strategy from the start. They're making it up as they go along. Whether you like it or you don't like it is irrelevant. That's the reality. Nobody can argue it. Why there's no playbook, that's a better question. But there is no playbook, and that's why communication, execution, decision-making, it feels chaotic and it feels all over the map because it is by design because there's no playbook.
Right. And I think sometimes like when I say the word accountability, people they think that I want them to apologize. And like, that's not what I'm talking about. But accountability in this sense would have been like, hey, we heard you from the dynamic duos. Thanks for your feedback. We made an adjustment moving forward. But instead they did the same thing again.
And tell you what the adjustment is and actually put their foot in the sand and say, level setting expectations moving forward. These are the rules. These are the guidelines. These are the parameters. This is what you should expect. They can't do that because they don't know that. You get it? Like they don't know. They don't have it mapped out. They don't know what they're building towards. They really don't know.
Yep. Why they don't know, maybe they need to stay in beta.
Well, they are still in beta. But that's the point, right? Like they've admitted it. Like they have not come out of beta because they still don't know what they're doing. Like that's the excuse that is still there. Like that's why we're in beta, and it's true because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know. Well,
the rubber's going to hit the road real soon because they said that they were going to get out of beta once they had an app that could notify like 1 million people at once.
Right.
And that's coming. That's here.
How are 1 million people going to get the app? Oh, that's right. Because once the app comes out, it's trending in the app space. So everyone's going to download the app because it's there. That was my favorite thing about the app conversation. Like, guys, once the app comes out, dude, this is mooning.
It's going to fix everything.
Forget it.
I never understood the app. I understand the value of having an app for like, maybe put it on a Jumbotron or something. But I don't know that the app moves anything about the product. Like, it's the same product.
It's the same product. Well said, Sharky. Okay.
Anyways, I'm done yelling.
I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel good.
I have not yet begun to eat these glorified Hot Pockets.
Hot Pockets. Is that what's
Careful, don't burn the top of your mouth.
No, I would never. I got too many minnows to eat later.
Shark, do you like to eat canned fish? Are you like opening canned fish and like really getting into it and like putting your shark hat on at home?
Well, I did just sell this Patrick Beverly 60K for $1, so I guess there's.
Who the fuck's buying that? Like,
somebody. That's all I care about.
I just like, who's buying that right now? I will say, I'll say a nice thing and then I'll get out of here because I gotta go.
Yeah.
The MGLE pack, which I'm not going to be buying, does look like it's designed well for people with a high TSS, and it's cool that 3/4 of the way into the NBA season this year that the TSS score is paying off. So
Agreed.
I think that's really nice, and it makes it like a lot of people are gonna be like, "Why are you guys buying packs?" I think it makes a ton of sense for people that are buying multiple packs with a high TSS. You guys absolutely should.
Yep.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah. It's the first time that you can truly say TSS has mattered, and I've been hearing people ask for that for a solid year plus, which was what is the point of having a high TSS score if it gets you like break even packs? In this case, you have a high TSS score and it actually gets you
Cheaper packs.
That's
Well,
what it should have been from the beginning. It's
Go
great.
figure.
Leaderboards are predicated on TSS. There's that. And
Yeah,
so
right.
all the packs we got from that and the LeBron anthology, that's all TSS. I mean, that's
But that
actually
hasn't
a pretty
mattered,
good foundation.
right? They
You're
had
right.
a
So the two
cutoff.
times they've used leaderboards, it was really good that they did that those 2 times.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But also that's for such a small percentage of people, Sharky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying they couldn't have used it more. That was one thing about CS where it seemed to matter with the gates, but yeah, I guess that's what we got out of it. There's more to be had on that. I wish we could have gotten. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, you got something to look forward to because they are well aware that everybody who locked all their shit, the timer's going to ding pretty soon. And the only way that those people are going to lock all their shit again is if they front load one hell of a reward package. So look forward to
that's
that.
a good question to end on. All right. This will be the final question of the stream, which is what like scenario can you build in your head that you are someone who's locking and you are given some kind of a reward package?
Guaranteed 20% of the value of everything you lock for the next year is what.
Where's that going to come from, Jay?
Forget it.
The fuck out of me.
Roham's going to have to sell the yacht.
The
Do
only
you know
thing that's
how
gonna
much
satisfy this
people
community-
lost by locking?
But where's the money?
percentage of
But
their
how are you going to just
portfolio?
create
Yes.
money from thin air and give you 20% of all your value?
How are you going to
Let's-
keep the platform alive if you don't?
Let's be clear what the bar is. The bar is 100% of your net spend. That's the bar. Anything less than that, people will say they got shortchanged, which in this case, I'd have to say they did.
Wait, so then you guys are coming up with more and more impossible scenarios.
No,
I'd say
yeah,
that we're
I
in
don't want
trouble.
that.
It's not going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that's where the bar is. That's why we're screwed right now.
Do you know what I would love
20%.
to? This is not answering the question, but this is what I would love to put out there. And I know we can't do it because they're going to be like the KYC, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think right now? I don't even know what my account's worth. It's probably like $1,500 or something now that I've sold everything besides my locked moments of like my Tatum debut and Jokic debut probably make it up. But say it's worth $2,000.
Yeah.
Do you think if I put out there right now, you could buy my entire collection for $1,500, and I'm just going to give you my fucking passwords?
Mm-hmm.
You just have it when the. Do you think anybody would buy that?
I think your password to your personal account is worth more than the moments in your account.
No, I mean, but Mike, of course someone will buy it. Aren't people buying those TSDs right now? Why would they not buy it?
So
Don't underestimate the power of Cute Nick and Ariel Reamer and people like that. Don't underestimate their whatever. And I guess Steve has been consistent, but there are people. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. I do log in with my Google account.
That's true. Yeah. So maybe
Yeah,
someone will
you're
pay
right.
$1,500.
I might.
I'll
do
take
it,
your emails,
actually.
Mike. Yeah.
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 I'll take your Google account for $1,500.
Yeah, I could change the email. All right. Well, maybe we'll put a. Oh, I'm getting snowflakes. Who the fuck is that from? My guess is Sharky and all of his other Twitter, like the Sharky, the Disruptors logged in. Who else you got out there, Sharky? You just throwing snowflakes?
I got
at
like 10 burners, man.
I know that's why this view
proud
count's
of
doing
it.
so well. Thanks, Sharky.
Pump
Oh,
that
man.
engagement, baby.
Community,
That's
baby.
fabulous.
Can we get a community vid, Tandy, before we go?
I wish we could. If we were on YouTube, I would do it. But
I can't believe we've been staring at Jeb this
actually, you
whole
know
time.
what? Hold on. I think I'm going to finagle it. Can I finagle this somehow? Hold on. Let me see if this works. Hold on. Oh, God. This is so janky. Here we go.
It's looking good.
Any minute now.
Well, you did
There you
figure it out.
go. You did it.
Did you have to go to an old YouTube video?
That's what we used to look like.
Yeah, so it's I'll explain to you, Mike. I'm basically running a stream within a stream. It's a streamception.
That's brilliant, dude. Because you get paid. I love it.
Anyhow, guys, I guess that's all I got. The wife wants a glass of water. So
Don't act like that's such a hard thing to. You've just been talking to 40 people for an hour and a half, and you're like, my recently given birth wife.
He really doesn't seem to
Who
value
can't cook?
her at all.
Yeah, who can't cook?
she can't cook, but she's a lovely lady and she's a wonderful mother. All right, she can't cook, but that's okay. We don't hold it
Terrible.
against
Good
her.
stuff.
If she doesn't leave you for Top Shot, she'll leave you for not bringing her a glass of water.
Yeah,
There
exactly.
you
All
go.
right. Well, I'm glad we all got your answers to what's going to keep people from not unlocking, and every one of the answers was terrible. So let's hope we can get a better answer. Let's hope we can
Later,
get a
guys.
better answer next time. But yeah. All right, Mike, Jay, and Sharky, thank you for all
Thanks,
hanging
man.
out. And until the
All
next
right,
time.
fellas.
You stay classy, San Diego.
All right. Thank you. Bye.